Hi folks, and welcome to November's Aches and Games Monthly, a relaxed check-in between two slightly older British friends talking life, gaming, and whatever else comes to mind. We've got a busy show for you this month, including Indika, which was our last game of our sub-club, and any particular highlights of what we've been doing, watching, playing, etc. Plus, we'll touch on an Xbox-heavy news month, including the massive changes to Xbox Game Pass that were announced rather unhelpfully just after we recorded the last episode. And don't forget, if you're only here for the games, for example, there are timestamps in the description. You can jump around to any section for that matter. Between episodes, you'll find us on most socials and our Facebook page by searching Aches and Games. I'm Giles Nicholson. I'm Giles West on various socials, Xbox and PS5. Joining me, as always, is my good friend James Apes. Hi, James. How's it going?
Good evening, Giles. Very well. Thank you for asking. You saying jump around reminded me of House of Pain from the 90s. So I've got that in my head now, so thank you for that little earworm. You said it's bad getting golden in your head last month from K-pop Demon Hunters, but now I've got jump around in my head. Jump up, and get down. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's been a busy month, so I think it's going to be a very long show, unfortunately. So probably looking at about 3 or 4 hours. But I need to pick Joshua up tonight from Scouts at 9ish. So if we finish by then, great. If not, we shall see. But I'm James Boy 1978 on PlayStation Network. James Boy 789572, I think, on Xbox. And I do the website and other things like TikTok and the like. And the website's great. We'll talk about that a bit more later on because there's loads of good stuff on it. But it's going to be a good show, so let's keep going.
Yeah, let's crack on. We'll try and keep it under 3 hours. We keep trying to keep it under an hour, but it never quite works. So let's go for that. Let's go for 3 hours first and bring it down from there. Right, before we do get started, though, in the spirit of extending the episode, a few bits of housekeeping. Thanks to Steve, first of all, for another lovely email, and to all of our listeners for helping our numbers reach a new record again last month, if you ignore the first 2 episodes, which were a bit over generous, where we told basically everyone that we knew to listen, and we got lots of curious people because we were new. That was wonderful, but we've been gradually ticking up, particularly throughout this year, and we really appreciate it. So if you're new, welcome, and if you've been around since day one, thank you. There's a badge somewhere, and we appreciate you. Next month, we'll mark 2 years since our first ever show. James, can you believe it? We're going to be 2. That's like 45 in podcast years. And that means that James and I are going to be bouncing around what has worked, what hasn't worked, anything we might change for year 3. So perfect timing to send us your feedback to the email address achesandgamespod@gmail.com or contact us on socials. Let us know what you particularly like or don't like about the show, any ideas, any comment, anything like that, and we can sort of build it into our what we're sort of amusingly calling our production meeting, but probably will just be us messaging each other on WhatsApp like normal. And as well as that, in December, we are likely to do our traditional Games of the Year show. And although I haven't discussed it with you, James, yet, I'm wondering if we do that a little bit earlier, we can maybe get it out just before Christmas so that people have something to listen to instead of their families, who they'll probably be bored of after 2 days. Not me, of course. I love them. Hi, everyone. Last thing, I wrote an article on Xbox Game Pass. We're going to talk about it a bit later, but I'll try and keep it brief on the podcast to avoid the 3 hours. But if you want the long version, and why wouldn't you? Because I think it was brilliant. I'm a bit biased. Go and have a look on the website, and there's loads of other good stuff there too. James, I've exhausted my list, so I think we probably just crack on and say what we've been up to this month.
Yeah, I was going to say, in like the last mention, that if you don't enjoy the King's speech anymore on Christmas Day, then why not tune into our podcast? Put it on in front of your gran and everyone else with your temporary garden chairs dragged around your kitchen table with a monkey bird stuffed on it. Then, yeah, if we can help you enjoy Christmas Day, then all the better. So please do listen out for that one. It'd be great. There's loads of good games this year, isn't there? So it should be a fascinating show. And again, if you want to submit your own top 5 games of the year, we did that the first year and it worked quite well. So if you want to come to our Facebook page or drop us an email or just shout really loudly, depending on how far away you live from us, and tell us what your top 5 games of the year are, we can include them in our Christmas roundup as well. So very exciting. Get everyone involved. Happy days. Lovely. So yeah, busy month. Annoyingly, because we kind of keep the show short, but it's been a really busy month. Played loads of games and done loads of stuff, not least because it's been half term. Joshua's first half term since starting secondary school, so quite a momentous occasion. He set it off nicely by losing his entire PE kit, coat and jumper 2 days before half term, so we just had to go out and rebuy all of that stuff again, so another £100 down the drain for stuff that could have been prevented. Very annoying. That's what happens when you get a bit older. Everyone rushes into the school canteen at lunchtime, dumps all their stuff on a table, runs to the queue, get the food, come back, and the PE kit is no longer there. So it's not really his fault per se, but it's still very annoying. Spunking £100 on PE kit that you never get to use. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, busy half term. We went to Oxygen, which is the new name for Red Kangaroo, which is the trampoline park in Reading, and it's a chain, so it's all over the country as well. Young people go there to bounce. Old people go there to watch young people bounce. Not in a bad way. But yeah, you stay off on the side, drink a hot chocolate, and everyone bounces around for an hour and a half, and then you go home again. Not quite as knackered as they are. That was good fun. He took his friend Susie to that one, so that was good half-term fun. We also went and saw a film. I know you like films, Giles, but you probably haven't seen this one. It's called Night of the Zoopocalypse. It's like it's like a cartoon zombie film set in a zoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
So yeah, at the start of it, some purple thing crashes to Earth from other places, and it kind of infects a bunny, like the cutest bunny in the film, gets infected by this purple goop, and then turns into a zombie and gets really psycho and bites everyone else, and they all turn into zombies. And in the end, virtually every animal in the zoo becomes a zombie, and then it's up to this wolf creature and some mountain lion to save the zoo from disaster. And they, spoiler alert, because you probably won't be watching it yourself, Charles, so it doesn't matter too much. They succeed at the end of the film, and the zoo isn't a disaster. Yeah, all good. So I encourage you to watch it if you like zombie films involving cartoon animals in a zoo. So Joshua enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone around the age of 11 will love it. That was that one. That was two of our half-term things. We also went to the coast. I've mentioned before, we get a steamer point every now and again, which is down through the New Forest, sort of Christchurch and New Milton Way. We park by Highcliffe Castle, have lunch there, walk along the top for a little walk down onto the beach, and then, regardless of the weather and the time of year and the inappropriateness of it all, Joshua then digs a hole for about 2 hours, and we sit there and freeze while watching him dig a hole and try to convince him that digging a hole is no longer worth his time. Please go home again. So there we go, dug a hole, and then we went to Cosmo. They've got a Cosmo in Southampton. So we went to Southampton Cosmo. You've been to Cosmo, Giles. It's the all-you-can-eat buffet restaurant that encompasses very different cuisines in Friar Street in Reading.
I assumed they were all gone, though. The Reading one went years ago, didn't it?
I don't know. The building got turned into something else, but I think Cosmo might still be there downstairs somewhere. I don't know. But the Southampton one's still there, and it's very nice. So we all ate excessively and sort of rolled ourselves back home again up the M4. So all good. So that's a few of our half-term things. There's loads of other stuff, but say some things about you, Giles, so it doesn't appear boring and self-grandizing.
No, that's good. I'm enjoying the very deliberate, I'm sure, theming of talking about House of Pain jump around, and then going into the trampoline park story.
Yeah, so obviously
feels very planned out. This, and also every time you try and explain a sort of kids film to me, I have to look carefully at my non-alcoholic lager and just double check I haven't picked up the wrong one, because it sounds like some kind of weird fever dream, but sounds fun. I'm sure it was, and probably no weirder than the sort of stuff that I enjoy watching. So at least he's got the excuse of being young. Yeah, we had a busy month as well. I sort of breaking it down into kind of categories to try and keep it quick. Obviously, there's nothing more fun than a very strict list. So I did some family stuff, which was a lot of fun. Hannah was invited to become godparent of their friend's child, Ray, and the only small snag being she's not christened, so we think that you can't technically be a godparent, but you can apparently be a guardian, which is sponsor, guardian, some very dry word, which basically means you're a godparent, but we can't say the word. So she's that. So we went to the christening, which also then turned out to be a baptism, because clearly we know nothing about what's what. I thought the difference was christening, you kind of get done to you as a child and don't have any choice, and baptism was more of a choice. Apparently it's not quite that, although we did ask 3 very religious people in the ceremony what the difference was, and we did get at least 2 different answers. So listeners, if you are particularly informed on this, please tell us. But we got him a christening card, and the other people got him a baptism card, so we covered all bases effectively, which was good. Also saw my sister and the family just a couple of days ago. Went for a really lovely walk and a good pub, fairly standard, kids now are coming up to 16, so they're far too cool for like walking around with their uncle. But they kind of tolerate it just about. They like food, so they're kind of happy if the walk always ends with a nice meal. And they're pretty good value, to be honest. They're pretty fun. They've almost passed, I think, through the sulky stage, which is quite nice. And maybe that's naive, and parents listening will be telling me they've passed through sulky stage 1 of 10. That's probably it. But I think they can just about keep the pretense up for a couple of hours with us, so that's always nice. And we saw Hannah's mum and dad as well, so we had a really nice month of family stuff, offset by some horrible stress because we've done our driveway this month, which was fine. As listeners will know, James is the practical one amongst us, and if he said he's done his drive, it probably means he was involved somehow, whereas we just pay people to do it. Unfortunately, there are a few slight snags. It looks lovely, but there's a few drainage issues, so they're coming back to do it again. And there's also a slight neighbour issue, which we won't go into on this podcast, but unfortunately, nothing can be done about them. And if it was done about them, then this podcast would obviously be used as evidence. So nothing will be done about them, for the record. But we think, navigating that. So to offset that, we needed a night out, and we had a night out at the theatre to see Josh Widdicombe in Reading.
Lovely.
And not coordinated, but Craig and Max were there, which we did find out about just before. We sort of thought, I'm sure they go to this sort of thing. So that was also nice. It was a kind of accidental catch up with friends. But yeah, a very much needed night at the comedy after a fairly stressful few weeks in terms of the house, but loads of family stuff as well. Got a bit more, but James, back to you.
Yeah, building work is quite stressful, Charles. I concur. Having done 15 years of it solidly. I was going to say, in my mind, baptisms always felt a bit wetter. You have a baptismal font, and you sometimes get dipped in a pool. But also, you can have a baptism of fire, which sounds a lot hotter.
Yeah.
So maybe baptisms are hotter and wetter than christenings. Who knows? Anyway, you've covered all bases with the cards. Yeah. That's all fine. Good, lovely. I was going to say, on the way down to Steamer Point, we also went through the New Forest, and the first time going through the New Forest, we saw pigs and donkeys.
Oh, wow. Pigs or wild boar? Because there's wild boar down there, apparently.
No, actual pigs, like proper...
Actual pigs, nice.
Porky pigs, yeah.
Tame
and like 10 donkeys just in the middle of the road. We had to wait to donk their way past. Sarah loves donkeys, so she loves seeing the donkeys in the street, so it's good fun. So if you go down to Steamer Point, look out for the pigs and donkeys. If you go the wrong direction, which we took a wrong turn and stumbled across the pigs and donkeys. So just make sure you take the wrong turn and you'll find pigs and donkeys wherever, as far as the eye can see. Lovely. Anyway, you mentioned some nights out, so I mentioned nights out as well. They didn't involve Joshua. Oh, they did, in fact. Ignore that. Scrap that completely. One of them involved Joshua. We went for an Italian meal with our friends Helen and Chris. Used to work with Helen, and she was our bridesmaid, or one of our 3 bridesmaids. And Chris is her other half, who used to be in the RAF and now isn't. So that was nice. Our local Italian, very pleasant. And their daughter Isla came as well, so we had a nice time there. We also went for a curry night with one of my old teams from back in 2008. We all look quite similar. We all aged quite early, and now we still look equally old, and not much has changed, so that was quite nice. It was in Hayes, which is not quite as nice, and I was driving, so I couldn't drink. But the curry was nice, so no complaints there. And lastly, but not least, just to cut it short, because we're already quarter of an hour in, we also had Halloween, obviously, so Joshua went out trick-or-treating in his skeleton outfit. We had 13, count them, number of groups come to our door this year. Yeah, a few years ago we had no one at all, and then we got a little bit more into it and started putting a pumpkin out and putting some decks in the windows, and now we've got all kinds of local riff-raff coming around to steal our sweets. So that was entertaining. That was nice for about an hour. And Josh had a good time and came out with loads more sweets as well, so we've just been eating sweets the rest of the week. And excitingly this time of year, the Saturday before fireworks night is always a great night for us because we get a free firework display. So our neighbour across the road, 2 doors down across the road on the left, spunks millions of pounds on fireworks randomly every year. I think he invites a group of people around because there's lots of cheering and whooping and general hollering and exciting noises coming out of their garden. And you can't see the whole road because it's just a fog of smoke for like hours afterwards. But there's a 20 solid minutes of proper like display standard fireworks. It's just solid banging and popping and fun stuff. So we get to sit out on our balcony, which is the only time we ever use our balcony, once a year on the Saturday before fireworks night to watch this 20-minute delightful firework display. And then any actual ones we go to will seem a bit disappointing by comparison. So we're going to Joshua Scout's firework display this Saturday, and that's just an old man who lights about 5 fireworks. We stand there in peril, hoping he doesn't explode on one of them, and go home again having eaten a sausage roll. But the one on our balcony is great. So happy fireworks night and happy Halloween and happy Diwali and anyone else that's celebrated anything at all in the last few weeks. It's been a very exciting time.
It has, hasn't it? It's a nice time of year. I'm a big fan of this time of year anyway, because you get to start wearing nice cozy coats and start putting the heating on and wrapping up warm. And for someone who is quite happy being a bit of a homebody, this is my time. But that sounds amazing with the display. I like it. Do they not know there's a cost of living crisis?
That's just weird. You have cars driving past, notice it, and they sort of pull up to the side of the road and watch it from their cars. It's great every year. It's a highlight. Yearly highlight. It's like when the olden days when we used to randomly clap in the street during COVID. That was the last community spirit we had on our road. But once a year, we always watch the fireworks out windows and balconies and gardens. So yeah, brings people together. You know, cloud of smoke and banging as all the pets run away and hide under a sofa. So all good.
Bring you together from a safe distance.
Yeah.
I like it. We almost connected on Saturday anyway, and there was some sort of fireworks involved at the end, so a bit of a segue. We had a lovely day. That was our last highlight, but probably the highlight of the month. We went up to London with Madeline and Scotty, went to a place called Immersive Gamebox, so on brand for Axa Games.
Yeah,
this is so it's not VR. You have headsets on, but they're more like sort of golf visors or sun visors with a sort of stupid little kind of Meccano figure on top of them, so that the cameras can pick up where you're located in the room. You're stood in imagine a very bare kind of lounge size room. Three of the walls are walls. One of them is glass where you go through and see through and where the door is to get in. And it was kind of sort of like a escape room, but with a sort of computer generated element. The walls are claimed to be touch sensitive, although I think it might be more movement based. And you have an hour to we had an hour to either play a sort of Ghostbusters theme thing or a Batman theme thing or the floor is lava or an Angry Bird theme thing. Or this one, which was more of an escape room type thing that we did together. It was a birthday or Christmas present from Hannah for me, and then Maddie and Scotty sounded like they wanted to come along, and we had a great time. So went to that really nice restaurant called Paladar, which I'm happy to mention without any money, because it was a South American restaurant. Lots of meaty stuff, but also lots of really good veggie food, gluten-free, bit pricey, but just by about 10 minutes walk from Waterloo. And then, having had a really lovely day up in London, we got the train back. On the train back, we realised we'd timed it perfectly for the Wokingham torch procession, where a surprising number of people light sort of paraffin torches. There was a brass band playing slightly strange covers. Firework by Katy Perry, obviously. That goes without saying. But Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen felt like it was just a song that they knew. But that was nice. And then everyone kind of proceeds in a procession style through Wokingham to the local park, Cantley, where it is the local fireworks display. So somehow Hannah, despite having lived here for years and years, has never been to it. I've not been to it in my 3 years I've been here. And we kind of only went to it by accident because we were passing through. And it was incredible. I did feel a little bit like, I'm not a witch, but if I was a witch, I'd be very nervous seeing this many flames coming towards me. And certainly, it makes you a bit paranoid and think, what have I done? What have I put on social media or something that warrants this kind of procession? But it was very impressive. I didn't see anyone get set on fire, which was good. It was obviously quite terrifying. Lots of small children kind of holding these things with their very responsible parents next to them, I'm sure, but not looking really where they were going with them. So I assume these are somehow very safe naked flames, but naked flames nonetheless. So that was our kind of quasi fireworks night thing, and then we watched the fireworks from a distance at home.
Sounds fun, if not a little bit scary and slightly satanic, but awesome.
what's really exciting without a little bit of mild peril thrown in? You need the danger, I think.
I
Speaking of
gotta
mild
mention.
peril.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, you go.
What?
I
No.
wasn't going to segue anyway.
We go
You've
on this
ruined
5 minutes
it,
now.
James. No, completely ruined it.
I've got to mention two final things.
Hmm.
One, I mentioned last month about Bailey's. I did a Terrace Chocolate Orange Bailey's. It's not Terrace,
Mm.
it's mine. And that was very nice. But this last week, I also found a Cinnamon Swirl Bailey's, which I've never heard of before as well. So my two favourite things in life are Terrace Chocolate Orange and Cinnamon Swirls as a dessert option. So two different types of Baileys to add to our collection. We've now got, I think we've got like 9 different types of Baileys ready for Christmas. So I recommend certainly the chocolate orange one. I've not tried the cinnamon swirl yet. It feels like it's going to be horrific, but
Mm.
hopefully it's going to be nice. I also noticed today gingerbread flavoured Pepsi Max ready for
Oh,
Christmas. So I bought a bottle of that one. Again, might be horrific, might be awesome. Bordering towards probably horrific, but we shall see. And finally, can I just recommend, because we've not mentioned about any thing we've watched, Graham Norton last night had the most down-to-earth cast I've ever seen on it. It's normally like Hollywood bellends saying stupid things and looking very flash. But Keira Knightley, who's traditionally very down-to-earth in some kind of mumsy cardigan talking about kids, that was lovely, and she's written a book. Chris McCausland, who's obviously a very down-to-earth top bloke, talking a bit about Strictly and obviously the challenge of not being able to see much or anything at all. We had Malala on there, the one who was the activist who obviously got shot in the face. She was very down to earth and wasn't what I expected her at all. She was talking about life in the UK and how she westernised herself and wore jeans and t-shirt and how she had battles with her family. So that was really good fun. And finally, we had Amy Lou Wood
mm.
from The White Lotus and Sex Education, other programs. Again, massively down to earth. So it was just really weird seeing 4 seemingly quite pleasant people having a nice chat. So I recommend that episode of Graham Norton if you don't want Hollywood Muppets. These were 4 really nice people just having a good chat and a bit of a laugh. So recommend it. And he also had Hosier playing. They've done a duo with Mumford and Sons, bizarrely. That was really good. So there we go. My recommendation is to watch Graham Norton from last night. The end.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we're actually going to see Mumford and Sons in December,
Ah,
so I saw they'd done a duet, and I wondered if he's going to. I wonder if he's going to come out, but I'll let you know. Probably 2 episodes time. I think it's after the next
yes.
recording.
Remember to
Um,
let us know what he's wearing.
well, yeah. Well, obviously, I
Yeah.
can't avoid that now. And if anyone has no idea what James is talking about, go back and listen to, I think around probably April, May, June episodes where I went on a bit of a concert spree and became fashion correspondent. It was a strange time.
Yeah.
You mentioned watching things, James. I was just going to say about Mild Peril, the Celebrity
Oh,
Traitors. Were you watching Celebrity Traitors?
no, we've got it all recorded.
In
Because
which
we thought
case,
Joshua might want to
what?
watch it, but he's never got around to watching it, so we haven't watched any of them yet. So we've got them all waiting to be
Uh,
watched. Love the traitors. We've
oh,
never seen this one at all yet.
I'll
But don't
just
want to
tell you
spoil it
how it
anyway. It's
ends
fine.
then.
Yeah, fine. Thanks.
No, just gonna say it's really good fun. All the sort of regulars are back, which is nice for us in terms of TV as you come into autumn. So Bake Off, Traitors, Taskmaster. New series of Blue Lights is my recommendation. If you haven't seen Blue Lights, it's on
Nope.
iPlayer for people in the UK. Have you not seen it?
No, never.
So good. It's a police drama. There's about 6 episodes a season, I think, so it's quite short. And set in Northern Ireland with the sort of things that you would expect to that, but just a really good character-driven drama on BBC. So that's our recommendation. We're in the middle of lots of other things, but not finished them, so can't talk about those now. And yeah, that's my month. Was there anything else you watched, James, before we move on?
No, I've mentioned the film. I've mentioned Graham Norton. That'll do. I did.
Oh,
I did watch some Bake Off. Has been good. Haven't seen the final yet. I watched the semi-final the other day. That's good.
well,
The
we're
final bit on yet?
recording. No, listeners, it will be by the time people listen to this,
Ah,
but we're recording on Monday, so no, it's tomorrow night. So yeah, no spoiler.
exciting.
We can get away with that. And we are caught up now. We were a bit behind each week, dreading going on social media. It doesn't really matter. Well, it doesn't really matter anyway, but it certainly doesn't really matter to the end. But we thought, particularly because the presenters have a bit of spoiling it themselves, don't they? Didn't Free manage to
Yeah.
posted one before the episode went out, their
Yeah.
first series. Yeah, still good. no idea. Wish that they would just bake some normal stuff now and again. It feels like there was a series where they went a bit back to basics, and that was better. But still funny, still good to watch. Still always makes me want to eat stuff, which I probably don't need any health. Right. Well, that was a busy month, and you said we've both been playing quite a lot as well. So
Yeah.
your prediction on timing is looking like it's going to come true. Shall we start off with Indika? I
Yeah.
think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, unless you disagree.
No,
Which was
we
our
did. We
subcon.
did disagree on the outcome, though, didn't we? So it's fascinating. We normally agree on
We
everything. We
did.
didn't agree on this one.
And listeners, if you were to predict, so this is quite a sort of art house game, isn't it? Really, it's very weird, very
Yeah.
interesting game. If you were to predict who liked it and who didn't, you might also be surprised. I feel like we should do that. Clickbaity type title. Like, there are 7 things we're going to talk about Indica, and you'll be surprised by number 5.
Yeah.
No, you probably won't. You'll probably know exactly who's going to say what. But here we go. Let's say it and see. You can feel all
Ooh.
smug if you're right. James, what did you think?
I'm gonna set the scene first. So the game's about a nun in some kind of convent slash institution, probably in Russia or somewhere in that part of the world. The developers were Russian before they moved off to another country to finish the game when there were some troubles involving Russia, obviously. And yeah, so it's based around a girl called Indika who is having a bit of a sort of crisis. She's got some mental health issues. Number one, she hears voices in her head that are probably from Satan or something similar, she thinks. And she had a bit of a crisis of conscience about good and evil and what she should be doing and how she'd end up where she is and what the future holds and where she really feels her place is in life. So she's not the greatest of nuns, not least because she occasionally goes into daydream mode when she starts hearing voices and then she sort of comes around and has dropped something and annoyed someone. So she's generally thought across pretty poorly by the rest of her nun colleagues. And eventually she's sent off on some kind of mission to deliver a letter to an abbey somewhere or some other monastery or something, somewhere outside the city, with the hope that she never comes back, probably. And obviously you don't know what the letter is when she goes off and you don't know where she's going to. But yeah, that's pretty much setting the scene, isn't it, Giles, I think? So for me,
Yeah, nice.
personally, I really enjoyed it. That's the spoiler out of the way there. You'll be surprised by point 1 that I really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed it for a number of reasons. It started off really weirdly, which I kind of piqued my interest. So you start off sort of falling from the sky in a sort of a cartoony way, and you sort of collect these strange shapes going down. But there's no indication that you're meant to be collecting these strange shapes. You sort of fall through the sky for a while, and you're like, oh, that's strange shapes. I better start collecting them. And you eventually collect a requisite number of these strange shapes and then appear in the game somewhere, and then the drama starts to unfold. And it's a very strange game in that it creates lots of juxtapositions between old stuff and new stuff and lots of weird bits. So all the background of the game is very like 80s inspired. So like the menu and the title screen and where you level up is all like an 80s video game with very old fashioned type fonts and strange colours, and that's weird. And then you get occasional flashbacks to her past, which equally flash back to sort of 80s games, which are pretty basic, and you play these strange little sub games within the game, which is very odd, but quite fun. I quite enjoyed that. And then the game itself is just sort of an adventure game involving not many people. So it's you and then this weird bloke you meet on the way who sort of has a withering arm. And you go on adventures trying to find this religious artifact in another city that he hopes by finding this religious artifact, God's been talking to him to save his arm and he's going to sort of recover the function in his arm. But it doesn't end that way. And bit of a sad ending, really. But I enjoyed it because it's so weird. It explores some interesting themes between good and evil and what the purpose of life is. And some things are demonstrated by being meaningless. So one of her tasks is you have to fill a bucket up 5 times from a well and then pour it into another bucket. And then when the nun colleague comes out, she just tips the bucket out and that's the end of the task. So that really frustrates you. So there's really frustrating parts in the game, which I think are designed to show you the helplessness of the situation she's in her mind. So graphically, it was fine, not outstanding. Plot-wise, interesting. I got something out of it. I don't know what I got out of it, but I just found it fascinating the whole way through. You never knew where it was going to go. Really interesting main character. Just weird, but fascinating for me. But you didn't like it for some of the same reasons, probably.
Yeah, I mean, essentially for everything you just said, was why I didn't like it. Well, no, that's not true. I think so. I definitely agree about the weirdness and the interest. So yeah, it started off. I was intrigued. I think it tells you very soon after you collect those things that it's pointless collecting those things. Don't bother collecting those things. So it's sort of trying to kind of keep you on your toes about what you should actually be doing and what's important, and that's obviously part of the kind of themes in life as well. And they're sort of trying to explore people's purpose and faith and all kinds of interesting stuff. I just thought it wasn't very good. I thought that the flashback little games, like you said, sort of 8-bit style, 80s style, they were quite fun and I enjoyed those. There were a few interesting puzzles, I think, as you went along, which I thought were kind of rewarding and quite satisfying. I liked dodging all the fish in the fish factory. I liked being chased by a big, massive, scary black dog who, I don't know if that was a real black dog or if that was some kind of allegory for depression. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there were these little bits within there, and I think clearly what they were trying to do was really interesting and really good. I was really bored. The game was really clunky. I thought the controls were clunky. I thought a lot of the puzzles were quite rote and uninspired. That said dog, I don't think it's probably a mild spoiler, apologies, but eventually you sort of escape it and then you just watch it getting hit repeatedly by a water wheel over and over again, and you can't do anything but watch this dog get battered by a wheel. I felt very much like that dog playing this game, to be honest with you. And then there was a very long ending, which I won't spoil, lots of philosophizing, and I just kind of went, it didn't make me feel anything, and it made me, apart from bored and quite disappointed, because I think in concept and in even the way you're describing it, Jason, I'm really glad you got something out of it. I was quite excited by this when I heard about it. I was quite interested. My first reaction when all that sort of opening sequence happened was wow, and then it made me like go and fetch some potatoes and carry water, and I thought, I think I might know how this is going to go. So maybe it was the wrong game at the wrong time, but yeah, didn't do it for me, unfortunately. But very pleased you enjoyed it. That's the main thing.
Yeah, for me it was all about a story about showing you how things seem really important when you do them, and you get really into doing this thing, like the man with the withered arm. His entire life was set about being spoken to by God and getting to this place, and that would sort all his problems out. But in reality, it didn't happen. So I just found the whole concept fascinating. I was really enjoying it. I smiled quite a few times. Bit of nudity as well. I haven't seen a nude nun before in a video game, so that was slightly different, if a bit superfluous. And yeah, I just found it really intriguing. It's only like 4 hours long, so it's my type of game length. So that was nice, and I thought it just kept me thinking, kept me on my toes, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's like a 7.5 for me out of 10. Would happily recommend it to people that enjoy games based on nuns that are ultimately completely pointless.
It's definitely novel, I would say. I don't think there was a Sister Act tie-in game, but otherwise, or Nuns on the Run with Robbie Coltrane. Otherwise, I can't think of any other nun-based games. Although listeners, watchers, I'm sure there have been some. So please, write in and let us know if there are more than none. James, what else have you been playing?
Well, yeah, that was our sub club thingy for last month. But apart from that, there's been lots of games I've played actually, including 6 games. Crazy. I've even finished a few. So I started and finished Indika, obviously. It's only 4 hours long. We always try and play games for 4 hours, so that completed the game for me. 4 or 5 hours, very good. I also managed to finish Prince of Persia Lost Crown, which was our Game of the Month sub-club, whatever it's called, about 2 or 3 months ago. And I enjoyed it at the time, but never thought I'd actually get to finish it. But then I thought, I'm going to finish it. It was a really good game. Really hard game, really challenging. I found it quite knackering in the end because there's a lot. I was going to say some sequences, but virtually every sequence involves a load of jumping on walls and underneath things and through things and being nearly shot at by different things by pressing things. It's really intense, I found. So you get a little bit of rest. You walk up to a, is it a waka waka tree? I can never remember if they're called waka waka tree. In my head, it's a waka waka tree stuff.
Yeah.
But they sort of regenerate your health and your arrows and stuff. And every now and again, you get different power ups. So you get to a certain part of the game, you find a new thing, and then it lets you do more things. For example, you can double jump through one of the power ups, or you can jump and then shoot forward and another power up. So I can't remember the type of the game. Is it a Metroidvania where you can explore certain parts of it, and then when you get this power up, you can go back to the old parts and explore more of the parts that you couldn't get to before. So yeah, I'm very pleased after 2 years on this podcast I finally worked out what Metroidvania is. Lovely. And I found it challenging. The boss is really hard. I had to lower the difficulty somewhat to get through some of them because some of them are really hard and really frustrating. And I probably would have made it into like a 50-hour game rather than a 20-hour game if I'd have kept up on the maximum difficulty level. But yeah, I found it challenging, good. Storyline was fine. Graphics weren't amazing. As we discussed before, it's sort of side scrolling, but you also go up and down a bit as well. So you had a bit of verticality in there. And yeah, it kept you on your toes. Constant battle, constant struggle, good fun, quite rewarding at the end. Enjoyed it, great game. So yeah, one of the better platform type games I've played for a long time. So probably 8.5 out of 10. Glad I finished it. I really enjoyed it. All good. You found similar, didn't you, Joel, when you played it? You played it a long time ago, didn't you? And got it finished earlier than me.
Yeah, I a similar experience. I think I ended up. I can't remember if I dropped the difficulty or if I just there was some sort of like more fine tuning, like accessibility things. Like one of the things that kept bugging me was that if people jumped behind you or slid past you, they could attack you from behind really easily, and you could change the settings so that if you blocked, if you defended, you automatically defended whichever side the person was attacking you from. So stuff like that. I think I made a couple of tweaks to make sure, again, the boss battles were really hard. But yeah, no, I loved it actually. It was a really pleasant surprise. I'd heard it was very good. I'd wanted to play it. I really enjoyed it. It went on maybe a little bit longer than I'd have liked, but it was still, like you had said, by adding on these new skills, it kind of kept things fresh. And particularly the platforming, I really enjoyed that stuff. I find that a nice challenge. Reminded me of some of the Ori game, the two Ori games, Will o' the Wisp and the Blind Forest. And like you said, sort of Metroidvanias in general, which I usually find too hard. I think we talked about on a previous episode, the Hollow Knight incident, and not having gone for Silksong because I like my sanity.
Could not be asked.
But people who like that level of challenge, you could definitely find it in this game, I think. But if you don't want that level of challenge, you can find a version of this game that really works for you. So yeah, good choice.
I agree on the length part. I got halfway through. Well, I thought I was like 10, 15 hours in. And I thought I must be near the end now. And then I looked up a walkthrough and I was like, Jesus, I'm literally halfway through. I'm not sure I can put another 15 hours into this, but I did. And I'm glad I went for it. It got easier towards the end because as you got more skills, everything became a lot easier than it did at the start. So the second half was actually a lot quicker than the first half because you knew what you're doing, you got into it, you knew the routings, you knew where to hold on to and stuff. So yeah, really good. So definitely recommended. What's yours first?
Well, speaking of games that I think are too long, and not to bring it down, keep bringing it down into the podcast, I do get into games I'm enjoying a lot more, but let's get it out of the way. God of War Ragnarok. This is, I think, the biggest disappointment for me of recent times. And that's not to say it's a bad game, because it's clearly not. But I was really looking forward to this one. It's still in PlayStation Plus at the moment. No doubt Sony will take it off because they tend to do that with their big games. So I was determined to kind of make use of it while it was there. And last month, listeners, if you were listening last month, you'll remember I wasn't having a great time with the first third of it. It was a bit drawn out. Just to reflect, the first one I really enjoyed, although when I look back, I felt that was possibly a bit long, and it was about 20 hours. And this one, I think, maybe 20, 25. And this one, I think, is kind of pushing 40. Nothing wrong with pushing 40, although that was us like 10 years ago thinking about it. So
a long way
anyway. Distant memory. But for me, the God of War, the new sort of God of Wars, really it's about sort of epic story, epic boss battles, and then some fairly repetitive fighting in between, and some really very predictable and quite dull puzzles. And so when they decided to make a sequel, they decided, it seems, to take that format and stretch it out or spread it out like butter on 10 pieces of toast, really thin, and just make it really long. And I thought quite tedious. I was really close to giving up after about a third, and I thought I'd
Yeah.
persevere because I'm a bit stubborn that way, and because that's something that I definitely need to work on. But actually, then it really picked up, and I was like, maybe I've been wrong. Got to sort of halfway through, I was enjoying it. There was much more of a flow. It felt like lots less filler, and then it was just back to the same old thing. Long sort of multi-stage fetch quests, very repetitive enemies, just dragged out, and having kind of persevered my way through it, I just had a bit of an epiphany and thought, what am I doing? Well, I'm not enjoying this. It's supposed to be very good. It has elements of a game that clearly is very good. I really want to know what happens in the story, but there is such a thing as YouTube, and I can just go watch it. And so I dropped down a difficulty level because, as we talked about with Prince of Persia, that's sometimes the kind of way, for me anyway, to kind of keep that balance, bit of challenge, bit of interest, but also just get through it. And realised that it wasn't the challenge that was the problem. I was just really bored by the gameplay. So basically, a bit of a slog, some cool boss battles. I really look forward to watching those boss battles on YouTube, but I haven't done yet because I am still stubborn, and I know there's still a chance I might go back to it. But I thought I'd try a few other games before making a judgment, and I'm really enjoying them. So they've really highlighted how it isn't me. Sorry, God of War, it's you. We're done. James, back to you.
Yeah, if you listen back to our first ever New Year's resolution show, Joel said that his big New Year's resolution was to give up on games when they become unenjoyable. And he's still very good at it. Yeah, so still playing ahead with God of War Ragnarok. Congratulations. You put me right off it. I was looking forward to playing that, and I'm no interest at all, so thanks for that.
Well, I'm sure there's someone listening who loved that game. I think maybe Craig, actually, Craig Young. I think possibly played it and really enjoyed it, but you look at the reviews, it's very well reviewed, so maybe I'm in the minority. But it's what we've said, isn't it, a number of times, that play what you enjoy. There's plenty out there. I'm sure through, especially if you're a member of a subscription or you've been building up things through sales, you're not going to be short of things to play. So when the fun stops, stop.
Yeah, weirdly for me, looking back at The Last of Us 2, it's one of my favourite ever games, but looking back on the cold light of day, it's probably about 10 hours too long, wasn't it? It really dragged in parts. But there we go. I could have done with it being much, much shorter. But still an awesome game, so yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to mention 3 quick notable honourable mentions now, and then mention the 2 other games right at the end. So the 3 honourable mentions are a game on Roblox that I play with Joshua called Please Don't Touch Anything. Fascinating little game. One of the better Roblox games, I felt. It's a little bit like the Stanley Parable, in it's ultimately pointless, and you have multiple endings. But unlike the Stanley Parable, it's all based in one room. So you have a boss, you've taken over a new job, you get put in front of some kind of mysterious console with just a red button in the middle of it on a desk, and then an almost fairly empty room. And then he says, please don't touch anything, I'll be back in 5 minutes or whatever. And then it's up to you what you do. But it's 30 different endings. One ending, for example, is don't touch anything at all. You just sit there for 60 seconds. The bloke comes back and says, thank you for not touching anything. And that's one of the endings.
Really?
And then it gives you a nice cutscene for each one. You get a little picture that you put on the wall for each one, or a little trophy to say each ending. But if you do press a button, then different things happen. And then you can manufacture loads of different endings. It was really fun for me and Joshua just to work out how to get through each of these 30 different endings. So for some reason, it annoyed me a lot less than the Stanley Parable. I don't know if I was expecting more from that game. It didn't really deliver. But this one, you just sit in a room. Each ending you can probably get to in about 3 or 4 minutes. So nice little bite-sized chunks. Requires a little bit of persistence and a little bit of brain work and just a little bit of playing around. So good fun. If you play Roblox, I recommend please don't touch anything. But obviously, please do touch everything, because if you don't touch anything, you only get one ending. So you wasted the other 29. Another game is Fortnite. I've mentioned before many times. They've just launched the Simpsons version of Fortnite. So Simpsons is online for a whole month. And it's really, really good, to be fair. They put so much work and effort into it. It looks genuinely like an actual Simpsons cartoon. It's undecipherable away from the original. And they've rebranded everything. It fits really well with the Fortnite theme. So instead of like Duff Bear, you have the slurp stuff everywhere. All the locations are nicely hand drawn on the island. So everything's got the nice little black outline like you get in The Simpsons. So everything looks cartoonified. Really good. Characters are great. Loads to do. Really impressed with the whole Simpsons thing so far. And it's even got the Simpsons theme. So it's all really properly done and really well. So I recommend The Simpsons, which is on until November the 29th. So if you play Fortnite, check out The Simpsons part. And the final one, which I'll talk about a little bit, is Power Wash Simulator 2, which I've also played with Joshua. So these are the 3 games I played with Joshua, which is why they're in the little middle sequence for half term. So Power Wash Simulator 1 is a game where you had a power wash and you simulate using it to clean things. Power Wash Simulator 2 builds on it by giving you some more functionality on your power washing. You also get unlimited soap, which you didn't have in the first game, which makes a big difference for ground-on stains, should I say. So good fun. This one has 2-player couch co-op, so you can play next to each other on 2 controllers, and you both squirt stuff at a high power onto things to clean them up. It's really good fun. It's quite laid back. You can just sort of do it while chatting to each other on the sofa. You gradually clear up lots of different locations. Good fun. Not particularly challenging, apart from trying to find the last little tiny piece of dirt on the different fragments of the thing you're cleaning up. But again, a really nice reward. Get loads of pings. I heard another review saying the ping sound is better on this version. You do feel good when you get the pings. So each time you clean a little section completely 100%, you get a little ping, and it gives you like $1 or $2 towards your total. And it's a nice ping sound. So you're working towards the pings. It gives you those frequent little dopamine hits, and it's really good fun. So we've enjoyed that over the last few days. We've cleared about 8 different levels between us. Some last like 5 minutes. There's like a mobility scooter you clean up. There's like a public toilet that rises out the ground that you clean up. Some take like 45 minutes because they're massive, like playground thingies. But really good fun. So those are my 3 little games that I've been playing with Joshua. Back to you, Jazz.
Excellent. Power Wash Simulator's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Game
2.
Pass. That's why we've been playing it on Game Pass. Number 1 was, and number 2 is. So I'd recommend it if you want to chill out for an hour, just to clean up some things with those dopamine hits. Go for it.
Yeah, my one of my teammates took Friday off so that she could play Power Wash Simulator 2. So, and
Yes.
this was a huge surprise because she's sort of nerd adjacent, very nice, but sort of plays with Lego, not plays with Lego, makes Lego figures and stuff. So she's kind of into more geek culture as well. But yeah, when she said she had the day off and then went a bit sheepish, I thought nothing of it. And then someone outed her as having the day off to play Power Wash Simulator. And I was like, that's really cool. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I think if you're the kind of person whose brain bounces around a lot, and you're always thinking about stuff, and playing a game like that kind of chills you out a bit and just focus on a little thing, and all the thoughts and manic thoughts in your head disappear for a while you're squirting a power wash at a public toilet.
I'm sold. James, I imagine you're the sort of person who's used an actual Power Wash Simulator. How accurate is the simulation?
Yeah, I've only ever used it to clean the driveway many times. I've not got as many attachments as the game, and I never use soap on mine. I used to use normal water. So the soap has an extra element. You sort of lather everything up, and that's quite exciting because it brings off the dirt nice and quick. So yeah, it's a good simulation. And you can also upgrade your house. You live in a house, and you can put bits in it as you make money and buy upgrades. Great fun. Recommended to everyone. Great game.
Good stuff. I went slightly different for my next game, which I've also mentioned before, so I'll be brief. Is I Am Your Beast. It's also on Game Pass. It's a sort of stylish first-person shooter, but it's these sort of small burst speed runs through levels. You're kind of trying to be particularly stylish in some cases to get a better score. It's very arcadey, a bit like if you ever played things like Crazy Taxi and things like that, trying to up your ranking to an S tier, usually coming in sort of D or C at best on your first run through, even if you make it through the level. So there's loads of cool challenges. You can do stupid things. It's a very sort of stupid game, even though it's cartoony, but it's quite graphically It's quite violent, really, when you think of the theme. You're an agent who is trying to have a peaceful life and is kind of getting hounded by all these military people trying to come and take you out. But it's fun. You can do things like shoot beehives, and the bees drop down, and the bees sort of terrorize them and things like that. But you're really racing through these levels, so it really is a sort of combination of reactions, memory, and trying to improve one more go, trying to make each run better. It's really good fun, very arcadey. Reload, repeat, try again. You feel a bit like John Wick running through those episodes, running through those little levels. Sometimes kind of parkouring your way through trees and jumping down and taking someone out and spinning around. It's just high energy, really fun. This was the game actually that made me think, why am I playing God of War? Because every time I decided that I needed a bit more fun in my life, I'd just turn that off and go and play I Am Your Beast. And then I thought, why don't I just play stuff that I enjoy? So really close to greatness. The only thing, and it does manage to create quite a lot of variety in that. So, for example, I think it's level 19. You start off, you've been kind of shot or injured somehow, so you're bleeding. So, as well as running through the level, trying to get to the end and trying to take people out, you've also got to make sure that you're topping yourself up with like med packs along the way. So they're done quite well to kind of mix it up a little bit. There's a sort of attack helicopter in some of them. There's specific weapons in some of them. So there's no weapons in some of them. There's really good variety. The only annoying thing about it is that towards where I am now, which is about sort of 2/3 of the way through, they start really gating your progression. So rather than just completing a level to play the next level, you have to then have X number of A rankings in your previous levels. So, you need 7 A's to carry on. And that's kind of annoying because it's fun to get better at each level. But when you have to get better at each level, that just feels like they're kind of trying to slow your progress. So really enjoying it. It's a solid 8 from me. It would be a 9, I think, if they just didn't kind of get in my way. And as I said, in a very specific way, in a very specific month of October, it was the game that kind of reassured me that I haven't fallen out of love with gaming. I just don't like God of War. Sorry, I think I've mentioned that before. There were others though. I've had a good month, so I do have lots of other happy stories to say. 2 more to do, but you said you had 2, James, as well.
I do, yeah. Next one's the only one I've paid for. Although I don't really pay for it. I got a Christmas gift, I think, or some vouchers that I got from someone that I spent on. Might have been work vouchers, who knows? Anyway, it's called The Precinct, and it's a cop game, kind of. I played it a few months ago when I was playing loads of stuff just to try them out, and I enjoyed it, but it never quite hooked me. But this time it's hooked me. So I've been playing it the last few days since finishing another game, a very long game, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this one is very straightforward. It's kind of like the old-fashioned GTA type games. We just go around, do little missions and then little things. So it's a bit open worldy, but with a story running through it. So every day starts with you having a briefing at the precinct, and then you choose your assignment for the day. So you can choose to look for speeders, or you can choose to look for drug dealers, or you can choose to just do street patrols or whatever else. So you pick your thingy for the day and your shift length, and you go out with your partner because you're a rookie, what they call boot in America. And you drive around or you walk around together and you find people doing bad things. There's a ludicrous number of people doing bad things in this game, otherwise it'd be quite tedious. But it's literally crafts, literally everywhere. Everyone's either speeding or under the influence or shooting people up. Loads of gang stuff, blimey. And there's a little theme in it as well involving some gangs. So you do your routine crime stuff, but then every now and again you collect some additional evidence towards a gang case, which you've been asked by a detective to help out on a bit. So every now and again you'll get a phone call saying, "Oh, a homicide just taken place up here. Do you want to come over and you examine the crimes?" And you collect some evidence, and then it has a little side theme to the game, which you gradually complete. But the main part of the game is doing your daily challenges. And whenever you get a certain number of points, you move up the XP rating to the next police person level. So you get better vehicles or different uniforms, or you open up more areas to go and do your police patrolling in. And then you can start doing helicopter patrols. You can start doing towing vehicles away patrols. You can start doing specific gun crime type patrols. It's just a really fun game. And within that shift time, you're meant to stay within your sector, but if you get a call on a radio to say there's this thing's going on, you can accept it and then race off in that direction. And some of it's just ridiculous, like GTA used to be, and I'm sure still is, in that some of the chases are horrendously unrealistic, but good fun. So you'd be like chasing after a car, and the car never stops for you. You just literally have to pound it until it either bursts into flames, or the person finally gives up and jumps out, or something interesting happens. So like you can ram it into the ocean, and then the person just jump out the side and start swimming away from you. It's a ludicrous game. And sometimes the car will blow up and kill everyone involved, but that's a good result for you because the person's died. So it's another criminal off the streets. You don't get penalised for that one. But in
That's
part,
paperwork as well.
God, yeah, the paperwork's the only annoying part because whenever you make an arrest, you have to do an ID check on the radio to find out their priors. You have to search a person to find out if they're carrying any dodgy stuff on them. So you might find narcotics or a firearm or some counterfeit goods. They seem to be really obsessed with counterfeit goods. So for some reason, having some counterfeit sunglasses an arrestable offence in this game. No idea why. And then you have to arrange for someone to come pick them up and take them back to the police station and reading their rights and all those kind of bits. So that gets a little bit samey. But there's so much variation in the game, you can just sort of play it forever. If you enjoy being on the right side of the law, but having a sort of a GTA type romp around a American city solving crimes, and it's really good fun. So yeah, probably an 8 out of 10. It's not graphically amazing, nothing groundbreaking in it, but it's just really good fun for a laugh, sort of an hour a night between other bits and pieces. So yeah, a good romp, good crime drama, an 80s cop drama.
Sounds awesome. I think when GTA was kind of, well, I was going to say at its height, I'm sure it'll be back there again next year, or if it comes out next year.
Yeah.
It's due to come out next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you never know. But I think people were sort of saying, oh, the problem is it's encouraging all criminal behaviour or whatever, but it's just much more fun to be the criminal. It wouldn't be fun to be the policeman. And now you've proved that this game sounds like it proves it very wrong. It's just as much fun as long as you don't have to worry about blowing people up or knocking them into the sea.
Yeah, it does make it fun. And it also tells you the level of force you're allowed to use as well. You're not meant to exceed the level of force you're allowed to use. So if someone's just running away, if someone's driving away from you, because you can do it for littering, for example, they throw a plastic bag out of the car, you can go after them for littering. But if they don't pull over, they're then evading arrest. So that means you can then use non-lethal force. And if they're racing away from you in their car and hit a pedestrian, then it goes up to lethal force you're allowed to use because they've done a hit and run. And suddenly you can just start ramming into them and running them over. So yeah, good fun.
Excellent. Just like real life, I'd imagine.
Yeah, in America. Yeah.
Cool. My penultimate one. It was Halloween. It was October and spooky season, so I decided to try out Ghost Town on the MetaQuest. It was also one of the free games of the month in their Meta subscription. I think it's maybe called Horizon Plus now, but it's a fairly reasonable annual fee to get a sort of taste of different VR games, which for someone who had a new headset, that seemed like a good idea for the year. So and it was fantastic because this was a game that I'd seen released. I saw the reviews. I really liked the look of. I'd been watching it through a couple of fairly modest sales, and I was ready really to jump at it, and now I got it for free, which is great. Free included in the subscription. Yes. Yeah. We know you comments people, not on this podcast obviously, but someone on the internet's going to be going, it's not free, pay a subscription. Yeah, fine, you're right. Hope you feel better. So anyway, yeah, it was brilliant. Anyway, moving on away from the nutcases. Really spooky intro. It's called Ghost Town. So obviously you might get a sense it's either Specials tribute, I think. Is that who's on that? Yeah, there we go. Nice. Don't say too much; we'll have to pay them. But you play a medium who loses her brother, very careless. But her brother goes missing in mysterious circumstances. In fact, in the intro, which is a kind of flashback, you kind of see what happened. And you're involved, and that's very spooky. I think an abandoned theatre is always quite a spooky place, especially when you're in VR. Everything can be a bit spooky when there's creaks and groans going on around you, and it's not your joints, which is a pleasant surprise for me these days. Really enjoyed that. The settings, the very realistic. You go to a lighthouse. There's a almost photorealistic council estate sort of set, a flat, abandoned tube station. For a totally standalone VR system, it's obviously not the most action-packed. Sorry, not obviously, but it's not the most action-packed of games because it's really a puzzle game. You're trying to solve the mystery of what happened. You're dealing with lots of kind of very tactile puzzles where you're sort of moving things around or sort of solving lockboxes, stuff like that. But they've put lots of effort clearly into the visuals of this game, and the scenarios, the settings that you're in are absolutely stunning. The people and the animals and things like that you'll come across are quite low polygon, low res, and sort of deliberately so. It's not trying to be realistic, but the places you visit are really stunning and completely deliver on that kind of VR promise of really feeling the presence of being there, which, especially when there's some spooky stuff going on, can be a little bit much. That said, there's not many. It's not like jump scares. It's not terror. It's not that sort of horror. It's more a sort of creeping sense of spook, which is fun. And the puzzles that you're trying to solve to advance your way through the story are really interesting, I think. Sort of variations on kind of the sort of light puzzles or water puzzles where you're trying to sort of get, power or water through a series of tubes and sort of changing various valves to make that happen. Some lock boxes where you're trying to manipulate the reality in front of you to unlock sort of intricate puzzles in front of you, and generally just a really good game. I think the story kept it going. It was a bit hokey. If you stick with it to the end, it definitely gets a bit silly, but it was enough to sort of justify the experience, which was really just to give you loads of really cool VR puzzles and take you through these amazing places. So to me, it was everything that is good about VR. It was very tactile, very fully immersive. It was short, no bloat. It was just the right level. I think it took me about 5.5 hours maybe to get through the whole thing. The puzzles were a good level of challenge. They weren't too difficult, but they kind of kept you thinking. It's an affordable price point, particularly if you get it for free, but it's not too bad. I think you picked it up in a sale from what I gather, James.
I did, yeah.
And yeah, highly recommend it, and glad that you're going to get the chance. I hope you like it. Is that on PSVR? I guess you'll be playing.
No, what? Yeah, I will be, but with the attachment that lets you play the Steam VR stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've never used that attachment yet. I got it for last Christmas, I think, and never haven't taken it out of the box yet. So I'll be using that one for this. Yeah, like Joel said, I think it's 20 quid on the Steam sale with that and the previous game made by the same people called The Room, I think. So it's two games together, which are both meant to be very good. Is it set in Britain, by the way, or is it an American thing?
That's a very good question. It is set in England specifically, I think, all in England. Certainly a lot of it is in London.
Cool.
Your character is Irish or Northern Irish, possibly. Yeah, you play as, I think, Evie, especially with sort of decent VR controllers. You really you can see your hands, you can move your hands around. Like I said, it's very tactile. You're getting hands on with a lot of props in the game. So you really do feel that connection to the characters and to the place. And yeah, it has got a very British sensibility. I think Fireproof Games, who did it, I think they are set in Britain.
Not too bad for motion sickness.
No, teleport to move. I find, I don't know what you prefer, but I'm quite happy teleporting to move, and then I prefer to turn in real life as opposed to using the thumbstick, because that then to me feels like you're there without the pain of trying to kind of move around. Very very easy to get around, no motion sickness, and I didn't hit anything in my surroundings either, so that's always a good thing when you're playing VR. Not always guaranteed in my experience. James, what's your last one?
Yeah, so I think you both say the best to last. So, yeah, the last one for me is Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which you've spoken about before. Charles, again, finished it much sooner than me, but he's been trying to hold off talking about it too much on the podcast, but now we both finished it, which is nice. So, yeah, so for me, this is probably one of the best games I've ever played. It's an awesome game. So, it's a sort of a JRPG, but set in France. It was made by Sandfall. Is it Sandfall?
Yeah, Sandfall, so Yeah, so there are a bunch of developers who did work for Ubisoft at one
Yeah.
point, and they sort of spun out and set up their own thing. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of an homage to a JPRG because it's a bit different, but it's got some of the same features. And having never played a JPRG before, wasn't quite sure what to expect. And I knew it was going to be turn-based, which I wasn't necessarily a massive fan of. We kind of played turn-based in Jeanne d'Arc, which is interesting. If you look back to one of our previous episodes about Jeanne d'Arc, that was turn-based, but very different. And this one is kind of, well, it's very much an adventure game set in some kind of mysterious place called Lumiere. So the theory is, as far as you're aware, at some stage, Lumiere has been split away after an event called the Fracture. So Lumiere has been separated from the mainland and has become its own little island. And in the distance, you can see a number painted on a monolith in the distance, assumably by someone called the Paintress, who they call the Paintress because she paints a number on the side of the rock once a year to symbolise who is going to be bumped off in a yearly ceremony called the Gommage. So each year the number gets one lower, and every year that number represents the age of the people that get bumped off. But they get bumped off in a nice way, so they turn into rose petals and they sort of float around. And then, yeah. And each year, absolutely. And each year they have an expedition. So all the people that are about to cark it the following year because their time's up, put on a fancy suit, put on the number on the side of their sleeve, and they go off in search of the Paintress to try and defeat her. Because in their minds, by defeating the Paintress, that will stop the yearly slaughter of everyone of their age and above. And each year, the number gets one lower. So this year, when you start the game, it's Expedition 33 because the number is 33 painted on the side of the monolith, which means that everyone age 34 or above gets wiped out. And obviously, every year, the number gets one lower. So then people even younger get wiped out. Charles?
Just a very quick. I'm sat here terrified on behalf of our listeners that you're going to spoil this game. So, do we need to give a spoiler warning, or is this a spoiler-free review? Because I think a lot of people will have taken. That's okay. No, none yet. But I just think if you're listening, everyone, we're going to try and be spoiler-free. If we're going to go into spoilers, we'll let you know. So carry on, James. Sorry.
Yeah. So this is what it all looks like at the start of the game. You take part in this first ceremony. Some of your busy mates get wiped out and turn into flowers. You are a bloke called Gustav is the main character when you start the game, and he is going to lead this expedition, Expedition 33. So he gets all his cronies together. They're going to cark it soon. Plus a girl called Maëlle, who's a lot younger. She's never really felt part of anything. She's sort of a bit of an orphan that's been passed around through different families. And she is much younger. I think she's like 16. So it's mostly 32-year-olds going off because they know they're going to die next year, but also someone half her age at 16 has also joined the expedition because she wants to find herself and have some excitement and see the real world rather than being stuck in Lumiere. So they all jump on this boat, set sail, and that's how the game begins. And then lots of things happen. The end. But the game's really interesting. So you've got the interesting starting concept. Graphically, it's beautiful. It's a really stunning game all throughout. Like I said, there's quite a bit of combat involved in the game. You walk around, or I think you mentioned last month, one of the characters sort of floats around in a lovely way. So you meet initially a small band of characters. Like I said, Maëlle's one of them. Gustav is another main one. There's another girl called Lune that you meet very quickly. She is with you when the boat sets sail. And another lady called Ciel, who has lost her husband at some stage in the past through natural causes, not through the gommage. So she's a bit of an unusual character. So she misses her husband and wants to have some adventure. They've all got their really unique personalities, so everyone's really different. Lune is very driven and focused on the adventure. Ciel is very much sort of more arty, sort of take it and leave it. If you're going to die, you're going to die. Let's go and have some adventures when we do it. Gustav's been planning for this for many years, so he's set up a special machine which sort of harvests things called chroma, which you can use. It's sort of a magical power in the world called chroma that you can collect on the way around. So he's made a machine which collects this. And like I said, Maëlle just wants to experience the world because she's very young and hasn't seen it all. So very different characters. They play the characters really well. The voice acting is great. Andy Serkis plays one of the characters, which I didn't realise until the credits rolled at the end. So that gives you an idea of the standard of the voice acting. That's really good. And there's so many amazingly exciting set pieces, lots of interesting battles. The boss battles are really epic, but every little battle you do is very epic in itself. So it's all turn-based combat, like we said. So you gradually throughout the game learn different moves and techniques. Each one of the characters that you come across has different styles and different special powers they can use. And you sort of do your powers the baddie does their powers back, which you try and dodge or parry or avoid in some way. If you parry at exactly the right time, you can do counter attacks. It's just really good. It's just everything feels epic throughout the entire game. And it takes about 30 hours, but there's no sort of dull moments and no just sort of aimless wandering. You can do loads of side quests, but I didn't bother. I just mainlined the main story, and it was just action-packed, really interesting. Some good puzzles spread throughout, not many. Mostly combat, mostly adventuring. Some great characters. Just such a good game, Giles.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you enjoyed it, and it's so nice that off podcast we can talk about it now because yeah, I've been looking forward to you getting to this point. I really enjoyed it myself. That combat it is turn-based, but you're quite involved, aren't you? You said about the parrying and the blocking, so I think that's one of the things that it does so well. It's that sweet spot. You don't feel passive just watching things, watching numbers fly off people on the screen, which I think sometimes these games or even lots of action games can feel like. You feel really involved, and yeah, when you get those counters well timed, or even you can do a counter as a whole team, can't you? It's very satisfying when you all just click and manage to push back against these ginormous enemies. So, oh, amazing. I'm so pleased. You said one of the best games you've ever played, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly graphically, there's nothing better than that, really. In terms of storyline, the story is so out there. You don't know how it's going to go until you get right to the end. It's still twists and turns all the way to the end, which is nice. And then bang on the ending. There's kind of a couple of different strands. I won't mention what they are, but you can choose one of two different endings, and both are equally satisfying, but in an unsatisfying type way. There's no great ending to the whole thing, but it doesn't put you off of having played it. You're a richer person for the experience, even if it wasn't the ending. And like Joel said, the battles are very involved, so you can play with multiple characters. You pick 3 people from your group to do the battles most of the time, and you use each of their special powers in a special way. So you can gift someone else a turn if they've got something special coming up, and you build up a sort of action points. So if you parry accurately, or if you do certain things, you build up action points, which means you can use your special powers, because each special power requires a certain number of action points to do that special power. So as you work through the game, you build up action points in the fight, so you can do more special things. And some people's special powers enable healing for other characters. Sometimes you need to use your characters in a certain turn in order to make the special powers more forceful against a particular enemy. And loads of it is practice and timing, because you're sort of parrying or dodging based on what the baddie's going to do, but you don't know what they're going to do until they do it. So sometimes, even if you don't get it right the first time, you come back the second time, and then you can time your parries and dodges much better because you know exactly what's going to come. And it's even to the extent where you look out for little parts of graphics, or you look out for little bits of sound that means they're about to do the thing they're about to do. So it makes you feel really involved in the battles. So even though it's turn-based, you really feel a great sense of involvement in it. But like I said, it's just the characters. Even after each area is complete, you go to like a campsite at the end, and you can catch up and build up relationship levels for each character. So the more relationship you build up with certain characters, it then makes them able to do more special powers or do more special things. And some bits are just really sweet. 2 of them are musicians, so they can go away and play on the piano and talk about music, and it's just really nice. It's just such a nice game, lovely game, great game. But yeah, without giving too much away, it's not the kind of game that lends itself to a sequel. So if they're going to do something similar in the future, which I think they are, it will need to be a whole different concept, or taking some part of the concept and re-emerging it into a different environment, because that game is done.
Yeah, well, it's in a lot of people's Game of the Year kind of considerations. It's definitely up there for me as well, but just really, it's really cool hearing how much you enjoyed it. And for people who maybe were put off by the turn-based thing, I think both of us here are saying give it a try, because especially if you've got Xbox, it's on Game Pass. Otherwise, it's not full price. It's a kind of slightly budget price. I think it's 40 quid in the UK instead of 60 or whatever new games are these days. And no doubt it might be hitting the sales come the winter, because it's been out for a little while now. But yeah, sounds like you've got 2 strong recommendations there, listeners. So if you haven't given it a try, we would encourage you to do so.
Yes, your 30 hours will fly by.
Excellent. And that's the thing, isn't it? Long games have their place if they are if they suck you in, and if they keep delivering the goods and keep bringing the freshness, that's fine. And sometimes that's exactly what we're looking for. But sometimes, sometimes you can overstay your welcome. He says, looking at the clock, thinking slightly self-conscious. My last game of the month was Alan Wake 2. So this is a game that we both, I think, talked about the original. I played the original a long, long time ago. You played the remaster of the original, I think,
Yep.
fairly recently. And Alan Wake was a rare sort of exclusive on Xbox back in the 360 days. So I played it, loved it. It was the sort of third-person action adventure that Xbox really didn't have. But it had its faults, and I think because probably enjoyed it more because we were starved for that sort of game. I didn't have a PlayStation at that point, but it had a really interesting story. I think the remasters sort of tidied up some of the jank. But one of the things about it was the way that it was delivered through the sort of chapter-based storytelling. You had the credits roll and a song at the end of the chapters. You had a very cinematic presentation. It's just Alan Wake 2 is just that turned up to whatever it is, 11 or beyond. It's really, really good. It got great reviews a few years ago. We were both, I think, keen to play it. I got it in a sale because I've really enjoyed Remedy's work in general, including some of their other stuff. Max Payne, Quantum Break, that sort of thing. So I thought it was the sort of thing I was happy buying, and then it was free this month on PS Plus.
Yeah.
So I could have waited, but I did get the it's like the deluxe edition in the sale, so I got the remaster of the first one, and I might well go back and play that. And it's all the DLC included, and it was really good value. So starts with a really strong pre-credits, just like the sort of cinematic experience that it is, very much aping a film. Your character that you're playing kind of comes to naked at the edge of a lake and kind of stumbles through some stormy woodland, very much similar setting to the first game there. And these sort of disturbing images start kind of breaking through the game, flashing on the screen, and you kind of think, okay, this is going to be a bit more of a psychological type horror than maybe than the first. And that's all pre-credits, including some pretty dramatic, exciting, and quite graphic stuff happening right there. And then you flip to the new character, who's FBI agent Saga Anderson. Her story, her levels are almost like a CSI investigation type mechanic. You can see these crime scenes and kind of work out what's going on. It's quite methodical. I think you watch CSI, don't you, James, from memory, from these podcasts?
Yeah, I used to before it all stopped. Yeah, watched all of them over the years.
Well, you'll definitely enjoy these. So you can kind of work out what's going on in these crime scenes that you're involved in. You also have a kind of mind place, very much a mind palace that you can go back to and look at the classic, board of information, of evidence with like white strings connecting the dots, the pieces. And then eventually you also get to play as Alan Wake. So you've got these two main characters that you're switching backwards and forwards between throughout the game. Different gameplay. Alan Wake's gameplay is a bit more, as I said, psychological horror than the first. If you play the DLC of the first game, it's sort of influenced by that. So you can rewrite the reality around you. You're very strongly heavily influenced by the dark place, so you don't quite sure how much reality you are seeing, whereas Saga's more grounded, more about investigation, but just as exciting. So it's so good. And between that Ghost Town and I Am Your Beast, as I said, really reminded me, it really set in contrast the experience to the sort of slog of other experiences. And it just highlights to me again, Alan Wake 2 is not a short game. It's not massive, but it's not short, and I'm completely absorbed in it. throwing myself into it, loving every minute. It's great to be back in the world. Love the setting around is it Nightfalls, with the diner and the lake and the Mirror Peak mountain in the background. It just feels good to be there. And there's another setting at Alan Wake's levels, which is also really interesting. So disturbing in a very good way. Links to the first game, but much, much more sophisticated. I'd say they've really built layers on top of it. Wonderfully weird. Because I've got the deluxe edition. One of the DLCs is sort of weaved into the story already. So, do you remember Night Springs is the sort of Twilight Zone type show that he's, I think, written, or that sort of appears on TVs? Well, you get playable episodes of Night Springs as one of the DLC, and the first one is sort of based around a kind of fan fiction romance with werewolves. It's just bonkers. I don't know if it was deliberately going for Twilight or not, but it's really funny. The dialogue is hilariously ridiculous, and it's just brilliant. I really enjoyed the game. Can't wait to keep playing. I'm about a third of the way in. It's very much on track to be in the conversation for my favourite games of the year that I've played. So, yeah, nice way to finish for me.
Yeah, if I had a memory, I'd probably remember that Alan Wake was probably one of my games of the year for last year or the year before. But then I've no idea what our games of the year was for last year. I have to look it up one day. If you're interested, look up for our last year and the year before's game of the years. But I'm sure Alan Wake was in there because it was awesome. So very much looking forward to Alan Wake 2. That's probably going to be my next big one to jump on. Now that I'm not interested in God of War Ragnarok anymore, it'll probably be Alan Wake 2 now. So I'll give that a go instead.
And you did Bugsy it, didn't you, when it was on PlayStation
Oh, yeah,
Plus?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
excellent.
All
Good
over
planning.
it, in the library, in the backlog.
Right, was that everything, James? Just to
Everything,
double
Charles.
check.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we're well within the 3 hours. That's good. Unfortunately, your son might be waiting to get picked up for a little while.
No,
So
it's fine. Yeah. Sarah's going, it's fine.
that's good. That's good. Well, let's crack on. So we mentioned Indika was the previous month's sub club, and Steve, again, if you're listening, I think you're only on Xbox, or you've only got Game Pass, so you'll be pleased to hear this month is a Game Pass game. I'm very pleased that we've chosen this particular game because I love the developer. I've had a great time with some of their other games, and it's just something, again, completely different. Another short game. It is Keeper by Double Fine, and it's an adventure game where you control an animated lighthouse. You kind of move around, use the lamp to light the way, and kind of progress your way through the world. It's apparently quite sort of psychedelic, influenced by a lot of the great kind of painters. Visually stunning, and quite affecting, because I think even though you're controlling a lighthouse, you're accompanied by a bird-like creature called Twig. Apparently, it's very, very affecting. Very impressive. Looking forward to it. What do you think, James? Are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, looks good. A lot of it. It's short. I always like short games for our games of the month. It means we can ideally finish them if they're that good, or give up if they're not that good. Obviously, you've never controlled a lighthouse in a game before, so that's a bit different. Quite how that pans out. It'd be interesting to see. And from what I've heard and read, it's meant to be graphically awesome as well. So it's meant to look amazing, but be slightly different and quite short. So, yeah, my 3 dream parts of a game. Something slightly different. Nice and short. Graphically amazing. Bosh.
Excellent. We're hurtling towards the end, folks, so keep it snappy. That said, it's been a horrifically busy month for news, so I don't know quite what we're going to do here. I mentioned the changes to Game Pass, James. I don't know if you've read the article, but if listeners, if you haven't, please go and have a read rather of the article on our website. That is akesandgames.co.uk. But if you're not up to speed, that's fine. Effectively, huge changes to Game Pass announced just after we recorded, just before we published last month. Very unhelpful. More of the just general sense that Xbox is kind of flailing around and just can't really be I was going to say can't be trusted. It's not really about trust. It's just that you can't tell what it's going to be next month, and that's
Yeah,
pretty hard to kind of stick with or invest in. Um, the headline was this massive increase for Game Pass Ultimate. So it's going to be 23 quid a month in the UK. But also the bit that got less coverage, and again it's on the article if you get a chance to read, is that the what's the next level down? Premium now is called Premium. They've changed all the names. Premium is 11 quid and Essential is 7. So Essential is essentially what used to be games with gold. It just lets you play online and then
yeah,
has a small selection of games. The 11 quid option, though, is starting to look quite tempting. But the 23 quid's the one that has the Game Pass, the day one games, particularly the big
yeah.
ones. So yeah, have a read of the article. Just more kind of shooting yourself in the foot from Xbox. Not quite sure what they're up to. Trying to drive margins apparently, but mostly just trying to drive people away. James, did you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was saying, mentioned before, weirdly it worked out all right for me because when we found out the price was going up, we both spunked out 2 years worth of Ultimate Game Pass on a website called Loaded, isn't it? It's called Loaded now. It used to be CD Well, isn't
Keys,
it? Or CD now? CD
CD
Keys.
keys.
What was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, renamed to Loaded. So yeah, that was still on there at the original price, even cheaper than the original price on there for. So I got like taking me up to 2028, I think now, or something ridiculous. So I'm all sorted for a long time. And the benefit for me is obviously the Ultimate now includes Fortnite Crew Pass, which I used to pay for in the olden days before it got too much and Joshua wasn't getting enough out of it. But now it's included in the Ultimate Game Pass, so I'm paying less than I was before. I'm getting that included as well, which is nice. So now Joshua, we don't have to pay for his battle passes and all the other stuff in Fortnite every month. You get everything included, including lots of V-Bucks, which is nice. So when the 2.5 years are up, then it'd be a bit more annoying. But at the moment, we're all covered, so I'm not too emotionally distraught by it. Also, supposedly on the Ultimate now you get loads more day one games, don't you, than ever before. So it's like 600 games a year or something with day one, wasn't it? We read on the initial one, we thought, I don't know if you're going to get that many games. So that sounds like a bizarre number of games. So yeah, I'm content at the moment because it doesn't impact me at all. It's actually made it cheaper for me and better value. So happy days.
There you go. We found the person in the world who this is for. 75 new Game Pass games a year, 600 in total, I think they say. But 75 is still more games than anyone could possibly manage to play. I look back at this year, which I think was a really strong year. You mentioned Obscure was on there, Blueprints was on there.
Yeah.
Atomfall, I think, was a game of the month. South of Midnight, Tony
Black Ops 6.
Hawk, Black Ops 6 last year, 7 coming up next month, Outer Worlds, Ninja Gaiden, Keeper this month. So there's already plenty to play, but it is strange. It's created just this sense again of a lot of people cancelling, a lot of people very kind of upset or annoyed with Microsoft. Particularly Microsoft rather than Xbox, but just this kind of sense again that they don't really seem to know what they're doing from month to month, trying to drive more revenue, whereas you would have thought they're going to try and get more customers, but maybe they've just given up on that at the moment. Have a read and let us know what you think in the on the socials or through the email. If you haven't subscribed or if you haven't stacked it, I think those codes are still available. So whether it's Loaded or another source, I'd really recommend you kind of stack up, and then at least we can be talking about this being a time to cancel in 2 years' time rather than right now.
Yeah. But obviously by then we'll be on a whole new Xbox, won't
we? Well, will we? That's the other thing. I'm very excited about. I'm really excited about the next Xbox, which is essentially going to be a PC, but potentially have its own special chip in it to make sure that it's got backwards compatibility. That seems to be the kind of differential from any other PC. Also, it will be built to a specific spec, so that will be helpful in theory for games developers. But yeah, this chip, I want it to be called the Lifeboat chip. I'm putting that out into the universe because it feels essentially like, for someone new to the ecosystem, You can just buy any old PC, and every game will be PC native anyway, and then you can play PlayStation games after a while, and Steam games, and Xbox games, and everything's great. But to anyone who's got a big digital catalog that they've built up, a library of older games on the PlayStation, on the Xbox console, that's why they need this little LifePlate chip, because it's just going to be there to keep all your old stuff safe and usable, and that's really going to be the only differentiator between that and I think a very changed, very improved PC experience that they're going for. So I'm quite excited, but yeah, we'll see what happens. James, you're a PC gamer, aren't you? You can
everything.
deal with all
Gaming,
these different launches.
Yeah. Doesn't sound cheap though. I think it sounds like 1,500, wouldn't it, or 1,500 to 1,700 for the new thing. So if you're used to buying an Xbox for, well, it used to be about 400, didn't it? And now it's like $7,000 or whatever it is at the moment in the Xbox price. Then that's going to be a big leap. It's kind of more than double the price, or even triple the price of what you would have paid previously for an Xbox. Obviously, it's going to be able to do a lot more things, and obviously, you're going to be able to play all the Steam stuff and all the Epic stuff and all the other storefronts on it as well, which is handy. But if you just want to buy it for your kid for a Christmas present for 300 quid, then those days have sadly disappeared. So it's going to lose a whole bunch of people that would have bought a new console because it's going to be completely unaffordable for the average person. So if you're really into gaming and also want a PC, it makes sense. But if you've already got a PC and you've already got an Xbox, it probably doesn't make sense to spunk another 1,500 quid on a Xbox PC, if that makes sense.
It does indeed, yeah. The best place to play Xbox games for cheap will be the Switch or the PlayStation, essentially. And they don't care. They're quite happy with that. Just a whole other topic.
And also for those who own a PC, obviously, as you know, you can just upgrade it. So you just work out what the spec is of the new Xbox PC and just upgrade it to that, so you know all the games you're going to play. So you're then not really missing out on a lot if you've still got your original Xbox. Anyway, we'll see.
Good point. Good point.
Thanks.
Speaking of being able to play the games on PlayStation, Halo Campaign Evolved remake is going to be on PS5 next year. As probably it's not really a surprise, you know, Forza's been on PlayStation, mm-hmm. Indiana Jones came to PlayStation, but there was a lot of pearl clutching about this. I think it's just inevitably where things have gone. But I thought it looked great. I'm excited to play it. I haven't actually played the original Halo, so I did start playing it as part of Master Chief Collection, and got distracted by something else. So it's great, a really good single player experience. You can play multiplayer, but I know that's not either of our appeal. But so that'll be that'll be one of those 75 games next year. Will be Halo Campaign Evolved for Xbox Xbox Game Pass subscribers, but you can also buy it on PlayStation. So there we go.
I think PlayStation have to work really hard to not become the dominant console next year, considering we're already miles ahead of being the most dominant console already, with Xbox effectively disappearing from the console market when the PlayStation 7 comes along. And it's kind of a free hit, really, isn't it? They can charge what they want for it and do what they want with it. And if you want to buy a console and don't want to spend 1,500 quid, then you haven't got a lot of choice anymore. Unless you want to switch for a handheld that you can plug in. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? For anyone who's on PlayStation, that's the concern. They can do and charge what they like. But maybe a corporate will just suddenly become really good and sort of charitable and not take advantage of that monopoly. We
might get the Trump box by next year.
Let's swiftly move on.
The golden Trump
box. We do have a couple of other great stories, which I just want to mention. I'll put them in the social media for people to click on. Games apparently are now for us old people. So you mentioned about buying consoles for young people. Did you see this? The ESA, who used to run E3, did a report, and the average gamer age is 41.
Yeah, still very young, to be fair.
What are young people doing?
Yeah, I don't know. Young people don't drink anymore. They don't play games. What do?
No, they go to the gym.
Hang around McDonald's, I guess. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't think so. I think they're too healthy for McDonald's. My niece and nephew go to the gym and ride around on bikes. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's good. I'm happy for them, but it's so different to us. As every old person's ever said about young people. So there we go. There was an idea at Xbox Stream, but not only are we running long, but my battery's running low.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw anything on there that you wanted to call out. Please don't,
No.
because good. Yeah, me either. There's
Good.
loads of stuff actually that I'd like to talk about, but can't. So we'll come back to that, I'm sure, as they get released. But again, those 75 games, some of those were trailed and look great. And then in terms of things that have either been released or coming up, I just wanted to highlight, which I'm sure you'd like me to highlight, James, is Silent Hill 2 on PS Plus Extra. So
Mm.
the cheaper tier, which at time of recording I think is still available. I think it's about to go. Oh no, it's the second tier. I always get the names confused.
Yeah.
It's the subscription tier. It's also a suggestion it's coming to Xbox. So if you are thinking about playing it on PS Plus, or you want to play it and you're an Xbox owner, why not check out a brilliant review from James on our website, akesandgames.co.uk. How's that?
It's one of the best Silent Hill reviews I've ever written.
I'll read it one day. Anything this month that grabs your fancy, James? No is also a good answer.
No, very quickly, Giles. Obviously, Football Manager 26 is out tomorrow
Yes.
on the 4th of November. So obviously that's a big one for people. People who have played it so far said the game engine looks amazing in terms of the matchday experience, but the behind-the-scenes bit is overwhelmingly complicated now. There's so many graphs and charts and boxes and things that pop up constantly. So I don't think I'm going to be getting that one just yet until they iron out those initial bits. We've mentioned Call of Duty Black Ops. So Black Ops 7 is coming to Game Pass on the 14th of November. We both loved, didn't we? Black Ops 6, which we were slightly surprised at. The campaign was great and some of the options were good. We even did a bit of multiplayer, which was fine. So Black Ops 7 looks fascinating. So hopefully it's as good as Black Ops 6, if not better. So 14th of November, coming out very soon. Europa Universalis 5 is coming out tomorrow as well. That's a massively complicated grand strategy game. So I might try and play that one day, but I'm not sure if I've got the time for it. We shall see. And finally, Anno 117 Pax Romana. So I loved Anno 1800. That was a great trading game, building game between two different generations. And Anno 117 Pax Romana is set in the Roman Empire, but also in the British Roman Empire. So you can go between the two different bits, build stuff in Britain, build stuff in Rome. And they're both meant to be very different. So I'm really looking forward to that, given my ancient history degree. So that's coming on the 13th of November, all platforms. Yes, that's it, really.
Fantastic. I love the rapid read through. There's loads of good stuff. And let us know what you're thinking of playing or have been playing. Any recommendations? If you are on Xbox, if you've got Game Pass, please feel free to play along with us on Keeper. We'll be talking about that next month. Remember, that's our sub-club game of the month. And if you don't remember, like I don't remember all of a sudden, our social platforms are at Aches and Games. Our email address is akesandgamespod@gmail.com. And I'm Giles Nicholson at Giles Went West. James, see us out for this week, month.
Yeah, this week I'm not going to put it on mute and not be able to come back at the end of it. So I'm still here, which is great. So it's a big improvement on last month. I think it's our longest ever episode, so I won't say too much. Thanks for joining us. Please mention your games in a year on any of our social profiles, or just, like I said, shout really loud. You'll ring us up if you can look up our number in the phone book, whatever that is these days. Thanks for joining us. James 178. Feel free to join us. Play the games. Let us know how you get on. Any other recommendations, let us know. Been great seeing you. Have a lovely month. Good night. Goodbye. Much love.
See you next month. First Friday of the month for more Aches and Games. Bye.